Well, hello and welcome to this Camera Flow Pro demo of camera shake and motion paths. And it's built to toggle very quickly and easily on and off and on top of all of the other motion and animation that you put into the project. So it works seamlessly with what you've already put in place, or it can work as a standalone to give a shot more visual interest. So what we've got going on here is our rig's already set up aimed at this object, and I've simply toggled on the shake, and I've adjusted a few parameters in the shake panel to exaggerate the type of motion we're getting. Typically, it's going to be around 5 on the master multiplier, maybe even 1 actually. Yeah, it's going to be 1, which is a far more subtle effect. Just gentle kind of sway to it to give it a little extra visual interest, as if it's being held by an actual cameraman. So I'm going to move out of the way here so we can see more of these panels and show you some of these parameters that you can use to shape the shake of your camera shake. Definitely pay attention to any of the tooltips that you have here, because every single parameter is explained in detail what it does. You can also refer to the documentation for a longer listing of tooltips if you happen to be using Blender 3.6, because unfortunately Blender 3.6 does not show full-length tooltips in the panel here for geometry node sliders. So if you happen to be using that, you can certainly refer to the documentation. Otherwise, I recommend using Blender 4.0 and onward, so you can see everything within Blender, not have to leave it. And again, it's as easy as toggling the shake on or off. This simply enables or disables. And so that directly affects the bake and everything else. What you see is what you get. So we're going to turn that back on with toggle, and we can even randomize the shake, which randomizes the noise W value of it. You're never going to quite get the same shake twice. I'll multiply that to see, so we can see a little better what we're getting. And as you move the location master multiplier and add it to larger numbers into that, it becomes full sweeping motion paths. So you can get a lot of visually interesting things that are seamless just from this alone without even moving the controllers of Camera Flow Pro. Although you can certainly move the root to reframe your shot. You can move the anchor points to reframe your shot as needed. So I just moved the camera location anchor point. I moved it up on the Z-axis to give a higher perspective. And it kept all the noise, it just offset it. Cool. So now we are going to look back at the camera shake panel. We'll look at shaping. So location XYZ multiply can be controlled on the X, Y, and Z, and location offset can be controlled on the X, Y, and Z. Offset works very quickly. I mean, what you see is what you get. And the multiplier is really cool because if you don't want the camera moving along a particular axis, you can zero it out so it's no longer moving along the Z. So you can very much shape your noise, or if you're inside and you need to kind of squeeze your noise down within a certain area, you can totally do that. So we can have it only operating within a certain parameter. And we can even do negative values, just like the tooltips say. Another cool thing you can do is you can transform the root controller, and you can do so using transform pivot types like 3D cursor. So if your 3D cursor is already centered on your subject, you can select your root, R twice to do trackball rotation, and you can get some very quick reorienting of perspective with that same exact camera shake profile. And again, if we don't like that, we can randomize the shake and very quickly get some different types of visual interest. All right, so what if we want something more turbulent? How do we do that? Well, I'm glad you asked, because if you go to the shake panel and you turn off sign smoothing, you're going to notice it is much more bouncy between loopings. I'm going to turn it down to a loop so that our scene is going to be looping along 50 frames so we can really see. So this is a bouncier looping. Now if you want to add more turbulence, it's where mainly noise speed and noise scaling comes in. That's real turbulent. I'm going to turn down location master multiply so it's a little more. And there you have it. Absolutely terrified. With a little bit of camera shake, you can do quite a lot, can't you? So again, shake is easy as toggling it with this one button. So it's very easy to bake cameras with it. I'm going to toggle it on actually and bake a camera and then toggle it off. And you're going to see that camera is baked and ready to go. It looks ridiculous.